I mean, he gets to have another bite at the starting gig. Apple. He's with his old offensive coordinator, and Josh McDaniels out in Vegas. There's really nobody breathing down his neck, and in theory, he's with a head coach that actually likes him. So I mean, it's a good move for Jimmy. I mean, personnel wise, the Raiders are going to have to address a couple of more needs after a move that was made this afternoon with Darren Waller being shipped out to the Giants. But I mean, this offensive line almost got Derek Carr killed a couple of times last year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to fix that in the draft or in free agency somehow. I just don't know how much cap money, cap space you're going to have left, especially after signing Jakobi Meyers this morning. And you signed Jimmy G, but on paper, a good move. I mean, it's really not that big of a difference of him from Derek Carr. It's just whether or not he's going to be upright by week 3 if they don't address this offensive line issue.
Well, you know how Jimmy Garoppolo is, right? So he could be going to the stadium and he could be getting his coffee from Starbucks and he could get a hangnail while he's getting that coffee and he could be out for the rest of the year. That's just what Jimmy Garoppolo is, right? The guy is good when he's on the field. The problem is he's not on the field much. Now, in regards to the Raiders themselves, my sister, she's a Raiders fan, so she's kind of lamenting this because, I mean, I kind of feel her pain. At the end of the day, Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo are the same people. Like, simply put, Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo are like the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same quarterback. Actually, I'll go one step further. I think Derek Carr obviously has more durability than Jimmy Garoppolo. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Now, I think this move was made with a little bit of probably, I guess, angst by the head coach because he realizes if he doesn't win this year, he's gone. Like Josh McDaniel has to win at least, in my opinion, double-digit wins, like somewhere in the 9-8, 10-7 mark, make the playoffs, just to kind of keep his job. I feel like the heat's already there for him to perform. So, in these situations, as is with, most people in life, we go back to what we're comfortable with. And looks like Josh McDaniel was very comfortable with Jimmy Garoppolo running his system. So he went out there and he basically, signed him up. And then today you saw Jakobi Meyers, another expatriate that was actually running wide receiver in the Josh McDaniel's system. He brought him in as well. So I think you're starting to see, the New England Patriots West really starting to take form here. And they better hope they better win, man.
Oh, for sure. And, Mark Davis is going to have some bills to pay, so he needs to get some fans in the stands. They need to make a run. I mean, 10 wins in that AFC West is going to be a tall order to do. But, I mean, they definitely need a better showing than what they did last year because, I mean, I had them as a potential dark horse in the AFC thinking, oh, well, Tyreek's gone. And, you heard of the offseason Mahomes and Bieniemy were kind of at each other's throats a little bit towards the end. I thought it was going to be an open time for them to make a run. They're going to have to make a run this year. So definitely going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do in Vegas.
So do you think this is the end of the moves for the Raiders, or do you think more is coming down the pipeline? Because, we saw obviously Darren Waller get shipped out to the New York Giants today. My brother's super happy about that. And now we're starting to hear that Hunter Renfrow could potentially be moved as well. And it seems to make sense that you're not going to need both Jakobi Meyers and Hunter Renfrow. I feel like they're both redundant of who they are and their skill sets. So there's some rumblings that Hunter Renfrow might end up with the Saints. He's on the trade block. So do you see any other major moves coming down the pike for the Raiders?
I think short of, moving Hunter Renfrow for, late draft assets to, build on that tight end room or other skill position needs, I think that's really going to be the only logical move left. Again, I'm not too sure off the top of my head how they look cap-wise, but I think McDaniel is, like you said, is cleaning house and putting people in there that he knows he can, win with his guys. And Hunter Renfrow wasn't his. It was John Gruden, Mike Mayock guy. And that's no shots, across the bow at Hunter Renfrow. He's a great asset. But when you just paid that much money in Jakobi Meyers, who essentially does somewhat of the same thing, there's only so many miles to feed in that offense.
So what's your take on the fact that Hunter Renfrow, obviously coming out of college, was the perfect Patriot, right? The guy was going to be, hey, if Bill Belichick takes a slot guy, he's the next Edelman, right? What's it say about him that he wasn't able to fit into this Patriot system by Josh McDaniel? Is this simply a byproduct of the fact that he was hurt? I mean, he had two major concussions, where he basically wasn't healthy for most of the year. Or do you think there's something more to this? Because I truly was a little befuddled by that move by the Raiders today, because I truly don't think there's much of a difference between Hunter Renfro and Jakobi Meyers. Maybe Jakobi Meyers is a little bit taller. He might have a little more athleticism, but when it comes to pure route running skills, the burst in and out of routes, I mean, both these guys aren't burners down the field. They're both, get open within 4 to 5, yards of the line of scrimmage and try to make it easy on your quarterback. Do you think there was more to just the injuries? Do you think maybe there was an issue learning the system? Like, why do you think they went after Jakobi Meyers and they basically made Hunter Renfro expendable?
I think it probably honestly, I think it just came down to the injuries because I mean he got walloped that first time with the concussion, and then I think he tried to come back, way too soon, in my opinion, and he got injured again, and we really didn't see him. But I mean, he's been productive, in that offense, and he showed glimpses with Josh McDaniel as his head coach in that offense as well too. I'm just going to go with the injury aspect of things, and I'm not too sure if they're like essentially the same age, but athleticism, like you said, I'll tip the scales towards Jakobi.
Yep.
But I mean, other than that, it's a clean wash. So
Yeah.
he doesn't strike me as a guy that was an issue behind the scenes or had a problem getting dressed down in front of the locker room if he missed a route or a block or whatever. So I'm leaning more towards the concussion aspect of things. I would be shocked if news came out and said, hey, like he wasn't jiving with the head coach or he wasn't picking up the playbook.